Don't say that. When HYBE's words brought Jungkook to tears and Jimin's silent gesture shook the army, don't say that. These 3 words, whispered in trembling breath by a global superstar, sent shockwaves through the South Korean entertainment industry and left millions of fans worldwide in stunned silence. What could have possibly been uttered behind closed doors, so powerful, so painful, that it silenced a room full of executives and left one of BTS's most iconic members visibly shaken? And more importantly, why did Jimin, known for his calm composure, suddenly step forward with an action that would spark an avalanche of speculation? The tension began when a report surfaced from an anonymous insider, allegedly a contracted staff member, who described an unanticipated emotional breakdown during a private meeting between HYBE representatives and BTS members Jungkook and Jimin. According to the insider, a specific statement made by a HYBE executive caused an immediate, visceral reaction from Jungkook. The golden magne, usually poised under pressure, reportedly fell silent before uttering a restrained but deeply emotional plea. Don't say that. The gravity of those words, spoken in an almost inaudible tone but charged with unfiltered emotion, brought an instant halt to the entire meeting. Witnesses described the air becoming dense with discomfort, the tension so thick that no one dared to speak. In the silence that followed, Jimin, standing just steps away, walked toward Jungkook, his expression stripped of its usual lightheartedness. He took Jungkook's hand, softly, without a word, in a gesture that immediately drew concern from the room. This moment, subtle yet profound, sent an unmistakable signal. Something irreversible had just occurred. For the global BTS fandom, ARMY, the event was more than just a rumor. It was a rupture in the carefully maintained facade of harmony between HYBE and the group it helped elevate. This wasn't the first time concerns had been raised about internal tensions. But never before had the impact been this public, this raw, or this unavoidably human. Questions quickly flooded online platforms. What exactly was said in that meeting? Why were only 2 members present? Was this a calculated move by HYBE to initiate a shift in BTS's structure without unanimous consent? Theories ran rampant, and despite the company's tight-lipped stance, fans began assembling evidence. One narrative gained traction. HYBE might be preparing to freeze or dissolve BTS's group activities indefinitely, pushing solo brands instead. And perhaps more concerning, this may have already been decided without full consultation with all members. Insiders from the Korean entertainment industry began offering cryptic confirmations. One producer from a popular variety show claimed that after the meeting, Jungkook seemed defeated. Known for his professionalism and punctuality, he had reportedly arrived early for filming, but remained uncharacteristically quiet, barely speaking and avoiding eye contact. According to the same source, Jimin stayed beside him the entire time, both on and off camera, silently offering his presence. Jimin's behavior was particularly noteworthy. As the emotional anchor within BTS, his instinct to protect and support Jungkook was not unexpected, but this was different. Observers noted his expression, the tight grip of his hand around Jungkook's, and the absence of any words exchanged publicly. It was not a moment for performance. It was real. And that is what unsettled fans the most. What could have been said in that meeting to provoke such a reaction? While the exact statement remains undisclosed, many believe it centered on the future of BTS as a group. Speculations suggest HYBE could be shifting its strategic focus entirely, abandoning traditional group dynamics in favor of individual artist branding, virtual products, and digital avatars. Some have pointed to recently leaked patents and internal memos hinting at a dramatic pivot towards AI-generated content, NFTs, and metaverse-based engagements, effectively replacing the irreplaceable with simulations. This theory gained weight when fans recalled earlier interviews in which Jungkook had hinted at uncertainty. In a January issue of a Japanese magazine, he was asked about BTS's long-term future. His answer now reads with chilling hindsight, "I don't know what's going to happen after it all ends." I hope we can stay together, but it's not entirely our decision. Back then, it felt like a vague reflection on military service or schedule management. Today, it feels like a forewarning, one that was not taken seriously enough. The emotional resonance behind "Don't Say That" now appears less like a personal plea and more like a desperate protest against a corporate narrative being forced upon him. Jimin, too, may have known more than he let on. Hours after the report began circulating, Jimin posted a cryptic Instagram story with a completely black background and a single line of white text. "I know you're not ready to hear it yet." The message, though ambiguous, was quickly interpreted as a veiled message of solidarity with Jungkook. It wasn't a denial. It was a message of readiness, of acknowledgement, and of warning. Social media platforms ignited. Fan communities around the world began replacing promotional content with statements of support. One of the most prominent Jungkook fan bases, Golden Men for You, altered their profile bio to read, "We will stand with you, even if the world doesn't." Online petitions demanding transparency from HYBE reached hundreds of thousands of signatures within 48 hours. Meanwhile, some fandom circles began circulating boycott campaigns of official merchandise, stating that until the company addressed the issue directly, they would not support a system that hurt the very artists it profits from. The backlash didn't end with emotional responses. HYBE's stock fell sharply, down 3.1% within 24 hours of the first rumors breaking. Investors voiced concern over the instability and lack of clarity surrounding BTS's future, especially given the group still contributes significantly to HYBE's total revenue. Analysts noted that while most members are still enlisted in the military, the group's brand continues to be the financial backbone of the label. A fracture in that structure could prove devastating. Academic voices began to enter the conversation. Cultural scholars noted that the incident highlights the underlying power struggle between artistic autonomy and institutional control. Professor Kim Moon-ji of Johnson University wrote in a recent opinion column, "This moment is emblematic of the deep fracture between personal identity and commercial viability in Korea's idol system." BTS members, despite their global stature, remain subjects of an institutional framework that prioritizes control over collaboration. The idea that HYBE could be transitioning BTS into a purely digital brand, where virtual performances, AI-rendered avatars, and voice-licensed content replace real-life appearances, has been described by many as both dystopian and dehumanizing. For a group that has built its global influence on authenticity, emotional vulnerability, and raw human connection, such a shift would not merely be a business decision. It would be a betrayal of everything the group represents, and it is here that Jungkook's plea, "Don't Say That," transcends the moment. It becomes a line in the sand, a stand against being turned into something they are not. Fans have long argued that BTS was not just a band, but a movement built on sincerity. Turning that sincerity into digital code threatens the very soul of the fandom. As the hours turn into days, silence from HYBE has only deepened the mystery. While a brief, non-committal statement was released, we understand the concerns and emotions of our fans. We will share relevant information in due time. It did little to quell speculation. In fact, it added fuel to the fire, perceived by many as a cold, corporate deflection at a time when emotional transparency was needed most.